We're going to give opening transition.
Okay, great. Okay, so welcome everyone. I appreciate you making the time to be here so we can all get ready for fire season. Government's chief responsibility is to keep people safe, and that's why we come together every year to talk about our collaboration and work together. And that's why we're here. We're here to prepare, to collaborate, and to unify in our commitment for our approach for wildland fire. So I just thank you for being here. First off, though, I want to thank our courageous wildland firefighters. We appreciate the work that's done. They put their lives at risk for us. They put in long hours in rugged terrain, hot temperatures, and also time away from family, so it's critically important that we recognize their sacrifice. We really can't calculate all that they do in terms of dollars spent or acres burned. It's really a way of life for the season, and it's important. We want to do all we can to keep them safe, and we must all work together to make sure that happens. And while we can't control the weather as much as we'd like to, we can take steps to mitigate risk. That's why, from the state's perspective, our focus will continue to be two things. One, aggressive attack on all fires, keeping in mind firefighter safety. And then secondly, active forest management. And I was pleased in the last legislature here, we got some more additional resources to work with our partners to further this. First, I want to talk a little bit about aggressive attack. With every fire, we have to respond with one goal, and that is to put out the fire as quickly and as safely as possible. We did that last year. We had good results. Regardless of where a fire starts, we've got to apply the same operating principle of aggressive attack. And aggressive initial attack is not enough. We must pursue a policy of aggressive attack on all fires until they are extinguished so long as firefighter safety is not at risk. The smaller a fire is, the fewer resources we need, the less damage it does, and it's just easier to control. Aggressive attack helps keep wildfires small, and that minimizes their impact. Last year, and Matt, congratulations. I mean, the work that we all did together, the fires that were under state control, 95% of the fire starts were kept to 10 acres or less. And that's a direct result of the aggressive attack posture that we took with these fires. This effective response model goes a long way to protecting our firefighters and minimizing the impact of these fires. So congratulations to all the staff at DNRC for their great work there. Without the state's commitment to aggressive attack, Montana would have had much more large-scale fires. And we know it takes all hands on deck to suppress these fires and to minimize their impact on families, homes, and property. Thankfully, we've had a very strong collaboration from our federal partners and also at the local level, county and local level on fire suppression efforts. So we appreciate the teamwork, and this is a chance to renew that commitment to work with each other through this fire season. We also must keep working together to prevent wildfires in the first place. We can minimize the risks of wildfires by being good stewards of the lands, better managing our forests, and reducing fuel loads. When a forest is managed properly, we have less severe wildfires, we have more recreational opportunities, we have better habitat for wildlife, and we have more jobs in our communities. So everyone benefits when we manage our forests. Active forest management not only will protect our forests, but they also protect our way of life here in Montana. And that's why we've made active forest management a top priority of our administration. Led by Director Castor at DNRC, Montana has become a national leader in increasing the pace and scale of forest management. When I took office, we set an ambitious goal of doubling the number of acres under active forest management in a single year. DNRC got it done. Congratulations. In 2022, we set another ambitious goal of forest management, and DNRC got it done again. So great leadership. Under Director Castor's leadership at DNRC, last year we treated 31,000 acres in the state of Montana. To put that in perspective, in 2020, we only treated 11,000 acres, so nearly triple in just a couple of years. So that's real progress. And this is really great news for Montana. And the even better news is we're not done yet. We're going to do more. And as a result of this legislative session just completed last week, we are investing $30 million in wildfire risk reduction and forest health projects. These are state resources that we can use to collaborate with our federal partners, and we look forward to doing that. We're also investing an additional $30 million to increase the state's wildfire response and initial attack capability. So we're hitting this on both sides, fuels reduction and wildfire response. Together we can build healthier, more resilient forests, but it will take all of us, and that's why I'm so pleased to have all the various agencies represented around the table. And that's why we're here today, and I'm calling on everyone to join us in getting more private, state, tribal, and federal acres under active management so we have healthier forests and less fires. And we'll continue to build on this success. We have a model and infrastructure in place to do that, and the Good Neighbor Authority is one of those. And I was really pleased this last summer in Libby, we announced the largest scale G&A project in Montana history. That was a good collaboration with the Forest Service. This decade-long agreement set a goal to treat up to 10,000 acres per year just on the Kootenai. And that's progress, but we need to find more projects like that, and I want to ask for everybody's help in doing that. I really appreciate DNRC taking the lead on that project, and again, that's my challenge to everybody. Let's go find a bunch more projects like that so we can have healthier forests and more habitat and less fires. Let's get that done. So thank you for being here today. I look forward to hearing from each one of you, and with that, I'll turn it over to Director Castor.
Great. Thank you, Governor, and thank you for hosting the 2023 fire briefing. I do want to start by thanking you, Governor, and the Montana Legislature for your work over the session to ensure that we have the needed tools to increase the pace and scale of forest management in Montana. Governor, as you already mentioned, DNRC is leading the way across the West in increasing our resiliency to wildfire and mitigating forest health risks to protect Montana communities, the economy, and our way of life. In today's briefing, you will hear from state, federal, and local government partners who will provide you with an update on their preparedness and readiness for the upcoming fire season. In DNRC, along with our partners in this room, we will work together to protect Montanans, our communities, infrastructure, natural resources from catastrophic wildfire. The state of Montana and DNRC is prepared for the 2023 fire season, not only through our fire protection program, but also through the work we do to reduce wildfire risk through cross-boundary, landscape scale, forest management. So with that, Governor, I will begin the round robin, and I will introduce each speaker at the table. So I'd like to first start by introducing Matt Hall, who's the Fire Protection Bureau Chief for the Montana Department of Natural Resources and Conservation. Matt?
Thank you, Director. Good morning, Governor, and again, thank you for inviting the wildfire partners in Montana here today to update you on our readiness efforts. As you stated, it's our interagency partnerships that are really the reason for the wildfire response system and the success we have in that every year. I know each agency represented here today is committed to working together to protect Montanans and our communities across the state. At DNRC, firefighter and public safety is and always will be our highest priority. Our mission as an agency is to protect lives, property, and natural resources from wildfire by providing safe, effective services to Montana's citizens, as well as leadership, coordination, and resources to the state's wildfire organizations. We've developed and partnered with local and state agencies to provide an extremely effective and capable wildfire response system across the state to accomplish that mission for the DNRC. We're committed to aggressive initial attack in part because we want to minimize risk to our personnel and the public by keeping fires small and short in duration. As we look to our preparation efforts this year, our fire management officers are currently hiring the DNRC firefighting workforce. To date, we're at over 80% of our seasonal positions filled. Governor, with your leadership on the state employee pay plan, we're excited to increase the wildland firefighter starting wage to $17.55 an hour this year. So thank you for the efforts there. We anticipate that support to help us be fully staffed next month. We look forward to continuing this work with you as it's more important than ever to modernize that firefighting workforce to address the challenges we face. DNRC's operational resources will staff 7 interagency dispatch centers, 46 wildland fire engines, 4 helicopters, and 3 fixed-wing aircraft across the state in support of our direct protection as well as our county co-op protection responsibilities to the counties. State-operated aviation assets will be located in Kalispell, Missoula, Helena, and Billings this year. Additionally, the County Assist Team is ready to deploy. The County Assist Team is an all-hazard incident management team formed to support rural and volunteer fire departments when wildland fires exceed their capabilities at the county level. DNRC also coordinates, develops, and delivers training and equipment to all 56 counties in Montana through our County Co-op Protection Program, a tremendous partnership with our local government partners, ensuring that local and volunteer firefighters are safe and successful in suppressing wildfires in their communities. As Montanans, we work and live in forests and grasslands across this state, which means we all have a responsibility to be prepared for wildfires. Governor, the DNRC and our partners cannot mitigate wildfire risk alone here. We need citizens to prepare their homes, communities, and counties for the wildfire hazards we face. As our communities and infrastructure grow and develop across the state, we must ensure they're built with wildfire resiliency in mind and minimize their vulnerabilities to wildfires. As the director stated, we are on track to have firefighting resources ready for the 23 fire year. We look forward to working with our partners here today to increase their preparedness and better serve the citizens of Montana. Should we need additional capacity, we have agreements in place with partners here at the table, support from contract resources, additional state-to-state agreements, and the ability to order resources through the National Mobilization System. With that, Governor, I want to assure you that the rest of Montana and the rest of Montana, the DNRC is ready to fight fire across the state. And I thank you for your support in the protection program and your interest and efforts in wildfire preparedness this year.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt. And I congratulate you on your hiring. It sounds like it's going well at 80% now, and it sounds like you're on track to get fully staffed over the course of the next month.
We are. Yep, we got a few weeks left here, and as we move into June into training in those crews, yeah, we're looking to be right at fully staffed.
Yeah, great. One follow-on. I mean, it was really remarkable last year that 95% of the fires are kept to under 10 acres. What lessons can you share with us from shifting from aggressive initial attack to more generally aggressive attack, and what lessons can we draw from that?
Sure, it's really back to that response system we develop here as partners at the table, and relying on the strengths that each one of those bring to that system, and really the wide range of resources and assets that we had available last year were key to that success.
Yeah, well, people like having less smoke in the air. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Next, I will introduce Jake Gagne. He's the Response, Recovery, and Mitigation Bureau Chief for the Montana Disaster and Emergency Services.
Good morning, Governor, Director, fellow Northern Rockies board members. It's great to see you here for the 2023 fire brief. A lot of what Matt Hall talked about, I won't repeat, but I do want to talk about some of the work Montana Disaster and Emergency Services has been working closely with the DNRC, the Montana National Guard on the Red Card, training for our soldiers and airmen. We'll brief Major General Ronick can cover that. And we're in the final stages of signing the 2023 Memorandum of Agreement for support from the National Guard. We're also been preparing and exercising and training to support the DNRC in case we need to bring additional resources through the Emergency Management Assistance Compact. We have worked with a lot of our western states, great relationships, and the DNRC has been a great partner to work on that. Just recently completed our 2023 Fire Management Assistance Grant training with the DNRC and FEMA Region 8. That's now a training individual. Each state does it, so it was more focused on Montana. This came a long ways in the last few years, and we look forward to having a great process in place if we have to do request a Fire Management Assistance Grant. As of October 1st of 2022, the 10-year calculation went up to $918,000 for each FMAG that is declared to use for hazard mitigation post-fire activities that could include hazardous fuels reduction, which is big in our state, defensible space, ignition-resistant construction, soil and slope stabilization support. So we're standing by, ready to support the DNRC and the state forester, our principal advisor, and working with our FEMA Region 8 administrator on that. And that is all I have to say, Governor. Do you have any questions?
Just one follow-on. The recent training you did with FEMA on fuels reduction, just explain, if you could explain a little bit how that works and how those funds are being used here in the state?
The training was actually the Fire Management's grant process to work through the process with the DNRC to request the
To get the
FMAG.
FMAG, yeah.
And once an FMAG is requested, then we're awarded a hazard mitigation grant for just under $1 million, and then that can go towards the impacted jurisdictions, the counties. Say if Gallatin County was a declared county, they would get priority. If they don't use up all the money, then we go statewide. So we've had that in place since 2018, I believe, when it was launched initially. So we've been really successful in using almost all of that funds for hazard mitigation post-fire
Yeah.
projects.
Great, thank you for your service.
Thanks, Governor.
Thank you, Jake. Next, we will have Major General John Ronick with the Montana National Guard speak.
Good morning, Governor, and everyone here. Thank you for having us here at the table to support as needed. Your National Guard's ready. We've been busy this spring. Believe it or not, it's not all about legislature. There's stuff going on behind the scenes, and I'm really proud to say we have really 1,500 soldiers and airmen that are able to call them if needed. What's cool about this, what we've done in the last few years, is red card training. Of those 1,500, we have about 300 of them red card trained through DNRC. So they're much more immediate response if called to support your efforts. And another piece of that is, of those trained personnel, we have 9 that are trained to be squad bosses. A lot of times that's a log jam. You got the crew, the airmen or soldiers ready, but you don't have the squad bosses. So we're able to, through your training, to have 9 of them ready. So that's really good. And also, of course, the equipment resources are there. The big thing is we have 22 aircraft to support your efforts if needed. Might be pretty bad, but they're there. 22 aircraft between the Chinooks and the Blackhawks with 16 water buckets. All those crews are trained, ready to go. And also between firefighting response with firefighters, we also can provide security assets for you too. So, and then the other piece is we've got a leasehold in buildings, so we actually have aircraft in the eastern part of the state for quicker response also. So as we train out there, they're there for you also. So Governor, I think we're ready to go for you if needed, and I appreciate the support from DNRC for getting all our crews trained.
Yeah, General, since you took over the National Guard here, this red card training for the soldiers and airmen is a relatively new thing. How has that been received by the troops, and what lessons have you learned going through that?
Well, 2 things. Which is neat is we're able to procure federal funding to train them. Okay, so we're not, if it's needed, we're able to train them. And then, of course, when you activate a soldier or airman, they want to get out on the fires. But usually they have to come in about 3 or 4 days just to get equipped and trained before they can even get out. So they're much more excited to be trained and ready to go. So they're off on duty if called to do that. So they're very motivated, and this is the time to train them rather than when they're just anxious to get out in the field.
Yeah, so this, through your efforts, there's now 300 additional red card holders here in the state.
Yeah, we used to never have any, so we would be very much delayed, even getting them equipment and training. So yeah, it's just much better effort that we have. So
Yeah,
yes.
thank you for your leadership on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, General. Next is Director Chris Dorrington with the Department of Environmental Quality.
Good morning, Governor. Thank you, Director Castor and partners here. The largest impact to air quality across our state are from wildfire smoke. DEQ's role during fire season is to collect accurate air quality data, communicate air quality conditions to the public, and collaborate with other state and federal agencies on this impact. DEQ's Air Quality Bureau monitors air quality across the state of Montana through our ambient monitoring network. The primary pollutant of concern here is PM 2.5. It's particulate matter smaller than 2.5 microns. It affects people's health, especially for sensitive populations, the children, the elderly, and anyone with a compromised lung function. Our PM 2.5 monitoring network includes 22 permanent monitoring sites, 5 temporary, and we're incorporating now purple air sensors at schools across the state. Since last year, our monitoring team has used a direct grant to add new permanent sites at Cut Bank, Dillon, and Havre. In 2023, we will add Glendive, Glasgow, Shoto, and Eureka as permanent sites. In last fall, we applied for and were successful in a $450,000 grant to provide that increased permanent number of sites, and then also a number of new temporary monitors, and then 150 of the purple air sensors, which are active, low-cost sensors that will deploy across the state. Last year, in 2011 fire season, just to demonstrate how quickly we can deploy a temporary monitor, which is prompted through a local official or DES coordinator, we were able to, on the Robinson Trial Fire, we were able to respond in under 24 hours, have a temporary monitor out there and get data on the website very quickly. We share our monitoring data through the Today's Air website, is today'sair.mtdeq.us. It's the #1 most visited website in all of state government, and it's very important. We revamped this recently to much applause, and we stand ready for this fire season. Outside of the fire season, Governor, I just highlight our efforts. We partner for prescribed burning efforts that often include fuels management work. DEQ work with stakeholders to find appropriate windows for burning that minimize smoke impacts to people of Montana. And we understand the need for increased prescribed fire across the state, and our goal is to ensure that important work gets completed while minimizing impacts to Montana communities. DEQ has worked very effectively with partners and had a 94% burn approval rate among major burners in 2021. I just want to thank my team for working so hard on both in season and out of season, and toward your initiative for fuels management. Thank you, Governor and Director.
Yeah, great. So thank you for expanding the monitoring. I know Montanans are very concerned about air quality.
Sure.
Could you repeat again where a citizen would go to find out about air quality in their
Absolutely. Our Today's Air website is today'sair.mtdeq.us. And in that website, and if you just type in Today's Air Montana, I guarantee you'll find it. But that website is active, very well monitored and updated, and that air quality information is available to all citizens.
Great. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you, Director. Next is Bryce Rogers, who is the Regional Fire Management Officer for the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Morning, Governor. Thanks, partners. So BIA 2022, we had 353 fires for about 9,000 acres. About over 90% were human caused. 92% of those fires were about 10 acres or less. So in a couple of weeks, we're going to start doing readiness reviews with our in-season tribes and continue to provide support to our trusted members. Currently, we've got 2 exclusive helicopters, one in Billings and the other one's in Crow for support. And just appreciate all the effort, joint effort with the local, county, federal partners.
Yeah, great.
Thanks.
Thank you, Bryce. One follow-up, you said 90% of the fires are human caused. We take a lesson from that. I mean, across the state, it's a significant majority. What were the sources of most of those things? Are those trailer chains or campfires that got out of control?
So a lot of it's juvenile and just some ordinances that need to be in place, and just a lot of kids playing with fireworks, and then of course there's some ag burning that occasionally gets away, but majority of it's just some.
Well, there's an important lesson there. We got to ask everybody to be careful in the woods, and
Need to get that message out of prevention.
right. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Bryce. Next is Paul Sardo. He's the Regional Fire Management Officer for the National Park Service.
Thank you. Appreciate the relationship that we have here, and the collaboration and the support and the invitation, Governor. I just want to let you know that the National Park Service is committed to aggressively managing all wildland fires on NPS lands and supporting our interagency partners. Human caused fires, 100% will actively and aggressively suppress all of those incidents on NPS lands. One of the things that I wanted to share with you all is that we're committed to our interagency partners at the local, regional, and national level. The collaboration and support that we have at the Northern Rockies Coordination Center sets the example across the nation. The National Park Service in our Intermountain region spans over 5 different geographic areas in 8 different states, and all of those NPS firefighters are committed in supporting the residents and our partners here in the state of Montana. Due to the infrastructure bill, we've increased some positions, I think 11 positions here in the state, 28 positions also, or 28% of those positions are here in the state. 60 positions across the region, and also 85% of those are all filled and ready to support the state of Montana. So outside of that, one key note in supporting the state is we do have a conservation crew that's going to be working in Glacier and Yellowstone and supporting active forest management as well. So, thank you.
Well, Paul, thank you for being at the table, and I appreciate your collaboration with the rest of the group. We have a mosaic of land ownership in the state, private, tribal, federal, state, and fires don't respect boundaries. So that's why we got to work together. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Paul. Next is Sonia German, who's the State Director for Montana Dakota's Bureau of Land Management, and I also want to note with her today is Craig Howells, who is the State Fire Management Officer for BLM.
Great. Good morning, Governor, and thank you so much for having both Craig and I, along with all of our interagency partners today. And I just want to express my appreciation for everybody around the table, because wildland fire is inherently interagency. It is mosaic out there, and it takes all of us to work together to get those fires under control. So just want to let you know that the Bureau of Land Management, we are well prepared for the fire season ahead of us. And we are also committed to actively suppressing fires throughout the season. And like you said, Governor, putting firefighter and public safety first. And given the availability of resources and anything that we're learning right now with what's going up in Canada is that fire season is starting can start at any time and can be active at any time. So appreciate all of that. One thing that I do want to note for you, Governor, within the interagency realm is that this group has done a tremendous job with moving into complex incident management teams, and also standing up 3 Type 3 incident management teams is a huge success. Thanks to everybody around the table and behind us here. BLM is committed to the 3 tenets of the National Cohesive Strategy. Under Resilient Landscapes, we continue to support our interagency relationships, and we are very committed to working on cross-boundary coordination and management, and have a really strong relationship with DNRC through the Good Neighbor Authority, and are accomplishing a lot. This year, we plan to complete about 45,000 acres of hazardous fuels reductions as conditions allow, and nearly 80% of that is going to be within the wildland-urban interface. Between this year and next year, we're going to be completing almost 10,000 acres of fuels reduction in Montana Forest Action Plan priority areas. So very pleased to be reporting out those numbers to you. As you know, I hold that very dear to me. We're also committed to working in fire-adapted communities through our community assistance agreements, where we provide financial support and technical expertise to local fire departments, counties, and NGOs. And we're committing about $1.5 million this particular year, and hope to increase that in future years for that work. Under safe and effective wildfire response, like I said, firefighter and public safety is always going to be our highest priority, like yours, Governor. And our firefighting workforce remains stable, and we plan to have additional staffing and continue to grow our staffing through the bipartisan infrastructure law and the omnibus appropriations. In fiscal year 23, so this year, we'll be staffing 18 wildfire engines, 2 Type 3 helicopters, and 1 Type 2 initial attack veteran hand crew, which we're really proud to put together. We have approximately 215 firefighters and an additional 200 support personnel ready to respond to wildland fires and other disasters. And one of my favorite stats for BLM, out of nearly 700 people within our organization, over 400 of those individuals have fire qualifications and will be actively participating in fire season. I can't say enough about our relationship with local government. We get a lot of our work done, like the state of Montana, on actively suppressing fires on our 8.3 million acres with local government. So thank you, local government, for being there and being a constant for our communities. We staff a number of interagency dispatch centers and provide center managers, and we have ongoing commitment for that. And we're planning on providing a lot of training to a number of firefighters throughout the year, and just pleased to be here. You have our commitment and to be party at the table and continue to serve the citizens of the state of Montana.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Sonia. It's great to have you back.
Yeah, it's great to see you.
I'm curious about 45,000 acres
Yeah.
of fuels reductions.
You bet.
Where are those projects? How did you select them? And how did you complete? How are they funded?
So a lot of those, they're going to be either funded through our base budget or for the bipartisan infrastructure law, and it depends on what we're trying to accomplish on the landscape. It might be for conifer encroachment. A lot of that is going to be for fuels reduction. We just carried one out in the Blackfoot watershed, just next to, along with our Forest Service, DNRC partners, tribal partners in and around homes. So it's going to be a myriad of things, either from land management objectives or home protection,
And
community protection.
you said you have a priority around WUI.
Yes.
What, is most of that 45,000 acres around structures, or is it scattered?
A lot of it is going to be around the wildland urban
Yeah.
interface. So approximately 80% of that is going to be, so, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Governor.
Thank you, Sonia. Next is Paul Santini with the Charles M. Russell National Wildlife Refuge. He's the project leader. And with you today is also Jim Forsyth, Fire Management Officer for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor. Hello. Hello to all my fire management colleagues in the room. I'm really happy to be here, and thank you for the invitation. The Fish and Wildlife Service is a relatively small player in fire management in Montana, but we play a big role. We are absolutely committed to the partnership in the Northern Rockies coordinating area, and we're always at the table and ready to play our role, play our part in keeping the community together, responding to wildfires, and then managing for both wildlife habitat and for hazardous fuels. Right now, the Fish and Wildlife Service is fully staffed for fire, and we are fully ready for the 2023 wildfire season. We're a relatively small player. We're only able to staff up to 6 engines, but we do have staff and engines staged around eastern Montana, mostly around the CMR refuge area. And in 2022 and 2023, we've been able to conduct prescribed burns and other mechanical type treatments to treat over 15,000 acres of hazardous fuels and wildlife habitat improvements. So we're really proud of that for the size of the force and workforce we have on the landscape. We're really proud of what we're able to do. So. As opposed to Bryce's report out on wildfire, I would say that the vast majority, close to 99% of fires on Fish and Wildlife Service lands in Montana are on CMR refuge, and 99% of those are lightning strike. But we are absolutely committed to aggressive initial attack with our partners, both on CMR and on other jurisdictional lands around CMR. I think in eastern Montana we have an exceptional relationship with DNRC, local counties, BLM, and we all work together to put fires out. So,
Great. And appreciate your leadership on the fuels mitigation. It sounds like you've done 15,000 acres just on the CMR. You're probably ahead of the rest of us in terms of percentage. I'm curious, how do you select the project for fuels reduction or prescribed burns?
Yeah, so first, we have, I don't know, Jim, how many refuges do we have in the state of Montana? Maybe 24, okay. So all of those acres aren't on CMR. Many of them are on the smaller refuges that we have. We have Fort Peck Lake do quite a bit of mechanical thinning. Yeah. So that's how we select. We pick areas for wildlife habitat to increase resiliency in the landscape for wildfire, so the landscape can better deal with wildfire when it happens. And then yeah, we pick areas that are around where people live to help be able to protect their infrastructure.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Next is Leanne Martin, who's the Regional Forester for U.S. Forest Service Region 1, and with her today is Craig Glazer, who's the Director of Fire, Aviation, and Air for Region 1 as well.
Thank you, and good morning, Governor, and thank you, Director. great to be here with everybody and just really appreciate the invite. And really, as you said, Governor, you know, it's one of many times that we get together to communicate and to work together. So always appreciate kind of the kickoff, an opportunity. So first of all, just a big thank you to you, Governor, for your support, and Director and all of the partners for the partnership and working together, because we cannot do it alone. And as everybody has said around the table, it really is truly an interagency. As you said, Governor, fire does not know any boundaries, and quite the mosaic out there. And, you know, while we are looking forward into 2023 and what the season will bring, and we have our predictions, regardless, we are ready and we are prepared to work with you, Governor, and with the state and all our federal agencies and tribes to really work across and meet the needs on the ground when it comes to wildfire suppression from that standpoint. And this year we signed a new master agreement with the federal entities in the state, which will really help with the structure and help moving us forward as well on that. A little bit with the status of resources, we are equal to where we were last year, and for the forcers that goes up to around 2,000 personnel, and that ranges from aviation to engine crews to hot shots, smoke jumpers, overhead, all the above. We are still completing our fire hire, but we are having success, some challenges, but we're moving forward with that. And we're moving forward with transferring and converting a lot of our temporary to permanent seasonals as well, so part of our permanent workforce. And then similar to what you did here in the state, Governor, you know, federally we have been working on increasing firefighter pay and helping get the benefits to our personnel on the ground, which is greatly helping as well from that. We're supporting, as Sonia said, the complex incident management teams, and look forward to that, because they will be prepared to respond to any fires regardless of complexity, size, and that part of it, which I think will be a great resource across the state of Montana from there. And we are working closely with our Job Corps centers, as I know you have a passion for as well. We have, you know, our kitchen crews and our hand crews and a lot of our students in our Job Corps centers that are working with us and come out, which is a great resource and opportunity for the students, and just a win-win across the board. And then as important, if not more important, is the upfront work. Wildfire crisis strategies, I know you're fully aware of, that we are doing across the agency. We have the wildfire crisis priority landscape up in the Kootenai. And, you know, this year we're looking at, throughout that action plan, and the life of it, over 150,000 acres just in that area. Our priorities absolutely are the WUI and doing things for the communities, and that includes in critical priority fire sheds across the state of Montana. And last year we did over 100,000 acres of fuels reduction in the state of Montana. We're on schedule to do that again this year, and that's a combination of mechanical as well as prescribed fire, which we've been very active with, especially with the weather turning. And we've also had lightning already start fires on us, so we've had a little bit of both already this year with the weather changing. But we're prepared. We look forward to the fire season, working across interagencies and with partners and moving forward. So thank you.
Well,
Appreciate the opportunity.
Leanne, thank you for being here. You're one of the most important partners at the table, just given the scale of your holdings here in the state. And I've always been so impressed when I'm out in the fire camps with the quality of the leadership, particularly from the Forest Service teams that come in. And you're doing great work with fuels mitigation. Do you believe the Good Neighbor Authority that we used up in the Kootenai is a tool that we can use more to expand forest management?
Oh, absolutely. And we're actually working really hard with that. Been expanding it across the state. I know we're working with Director Castor and her staff on looking at other areas, as you said, Governor, where we could use the lessons learned from up in the Libby area and what's working. And many of the state and your personnel are actually helping us on both the planning as well as implementation now through Good Neighbor, which is a great way of all of us moving forward. So, yes.
Well, we stand ready to do more.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne. Next is Rich Capper, who's the president of the Montana State Fire Chiefs.
Thanks, Director, Governor. Good. Thanks for the invitation to be here. So, on behalf of the roughly 400 local government fire departments across the state, roughly 8,000 firefighters, again, thank you for the opportunity to be here. Local government, as you know, sits at a unique position. Federal partners are at a level of state, you know, when we're a lot of that collaboration. Local government sometimes is kind of in an isolated pool, but because of the arrangement that we have in Montana and Northern Rockies in particular, local government has a seat at the table. This year, next 2 years actually, I get to serve as the chairman for the Northern Rockies coordinating group, which is quite an honor. But you can't emphasize enough, we keep hearing partnership as we go through this conversation. But when you look at the makeup of the Northern Rockies, with having local government, county fire wardens, state fire chiefs, sheriffs, peace officers associations, all at the table, that's unique in all of the regions across the United States. So when we talk about collaboration in the Northern Rockies and specific in Montana, nowhere else do you find this model. So it truly is something to be proud of, something to hang on to, and gets a lot of extra work done on the ground. I'd say local government is as ready as we can possibly be, and we are, but that also comes with challenges. Out of those roughly 8,000 firefighters, there's 750 of them that are career firefighters, typically in our more urban areas, if we can call it urban in the state of Montana. And a lot of those folks are relegated to stay in those communities. They don't get the chance to get out so much. So when you're looking at the rest of that, the majority of that's all volunteers that are helping in these rural areas. And there are staffing challenges, obviously, with our volunteer. We see that across the United States. Volunteerism is down. We're still trying the best we can to figure out recruitment retention methods to help incorporate folks back into some of our more rural departments, but it's a challenge. And then also funding is a challenge still. But with the passage of House Bill 883, helping DNRC and a lot of that funding, some of that will trickle down to help local government departments be better equipped, better trained, more ready and able to respond. So that's a pretty cool thing. And when you think about the scope of that, everybody's got their chunks of ground. I think private or local government helps protect roughly 40 million acres across the state, but we're integrated with all of our federal partners in a lot of cases. Local government's still doing first response on state and federal ground. So truly your first line of defense that are going into many of these areas. I can think of the fire we just had in Sweetgrass County had in the mouth of the Boulder Canyon, which shouldn't be happening this early this kind of year on federal, state, or federal and private property. In the Sweetgrass County, Park County, Forest Service, state, all responded to that fire, kept their 40 acres. So again, that's the intent, that's the collaboration that we have, and it goes throughout the season. As was brought up with the critical incident management teams, it's a unique perspective. We're transitioning some things. We actually reduced the number of main teams down to 5 from 7, which sounds a little wonky on the front end of things, but in the backside of things, we also stood up 3 additional Type 3 teams, which are usually quicker, mobilized, more nimble, so they can get there quicker when a fire is growing, and hopefully help manage that. So we actually increased by 1 team to help mitigate that across the Northern Rockies. So all in all, I think we're in good shape. We'll just see what Mother Nature does to us, and we can hope for the best.
Thank you, Chief. And you are on the front lines. You're usually the ones that get the first phone call, and you dispatch first because you're in the local communities. Is there anything the state or the other partners here at the table can do to be better partners?
We'll chat about that another. No, it's just a unique challenge. I mean, when you're dealing with the makeup of a lot of local government situations, I think honestly it's as good, if not better, or as good today as we've ever seen. That collaboration and help. There's multiple fires I can think of in Stillwater County where I've had BLM and Forest Service agents in my particular response area. I don't touch the Forest Service, but they're willing to come help. Kind of stuff. And so with that kind of collaboration, I think we do as good as we can. It's just figuring out how do we bolster volunteerism and funding that supports those local government services.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. And last but certainly not least is Patrick Lonergan. He's the president of Montana County Fire Wardens Association.
Thank you, Director Governor. So as the president of the Fire Wardens Association, I represent the 56 county fire wardens. And amongst those 56 county fire wardens and the 400 or so fire departments that they support, those local government entities make up the largest protection agency here in Montana for the private and federal or private and state lands throughout the state. And as we talked about, the success of catching fires initial attack, a key component of local government success in that is the cooperative fire protection agreement that all 56 counties have with the UXC. And out of that, the training support for the UNRC provides local governments pre-season to get people prepared, as well as the equipment program where we get state fire apparatus assigned to local government fire departments is pretty key. And then when we do have a fire, having that ability to ask for what the agency needs for the damages and try and catch it before it becomes a large fire, and the ease and efficiency of that system is pretty critical to our success in Montana as a whole. Last year, the UNRC started a program called the County Fire Protection Capacity Grant Program that provided funding to a handful of jurisdictions across the state to help bolster that capacity through a variety of different ways. And Rich mentioned the challenge of volunteerism and how that affects fire capacity across the state. I think that was a really good program to add some capacity in local jurisdictions. And I think collaborative processes like that in the future, and with the passage of House Bill 83, I think there's a great opportunity to be collaborative and effective in how we put our system together and collaboratively work towards effectively suppressing future fires.
That program you just talked about, you said it was helpful. Can you describe what the benefit actually was?
You bet. So I can speak to Gallatin County. So we put in a grant application and received about $50,000 to basically hire a seasonal wildfire employee that works about 1,000 hours a year potentially. And that person's focus covers not just Gallatin County, but also Madison, Laura County, Broadwater County. And that person's goal is to support local fire departments with training needs that they have, support them with initial attacks. So the person we hired has fairly significant operational qualifications to come in and mentor those fire departments when a fire happens in local jurisdiction, as well as his work taking some of the load off of the local UNRC unit office with helping those fire departments kind of being a middle person. So it's a little easier for them, particularly the volunteer departments, to get the paperwork done, right? So they can be in a pay status and work this stuff out. So it helps with the pre-season agreement. You know, they end up in some sort of pay status, helps them work through the paperwork at the back end, and helps facilitate that process.
So remove some of the bureaucracy and build capacity.
There you go. That's a great way to say it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you again to all of our state, federal, and local government partners for sharing your valuable contributions and insights with us this morning. And again, thank you, Governor, for bringing us all together to really stress the importance of partnership, collaboration, cooperativeness, and speaking the same language when it comes to combating wildfires and the forest management crisis in Montana. We truly are working for the best interest of Montanans. So with that, Governor, we're ready for any other questions you may have and for your closing remarks. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you again for each one of you for being here. And just want to reiterate, we can't prevent fire from starting, but we can be prepared to deal with it when it does. And all Montanans really have a role in doing what they can to make sure their chains aren't dragging, to reduce fuels around their homes, and just being careful when they're out in the woods. It's critical that we all stay informed so that we don't have to put firefighters at risk, and we can keep them safe and get these fires put out. So I would just encourage Montanans to keep in mind local fire restrictions as we get into fire season. Stay up to date on whether you can burn outside or not, and be responsible in the outdoors. And Montanans can also help by being prepared with an evacuation plan in case there is a fire in their area. Sometimes you have to get out of there, and being ready and having a plan helps. The better prepared we are, the safer our community is going to be, and the safer Montanans will be. So together we can keep our loved ones, our firefighters, our personal property safe. And I just appreciate everyone being here and the collaboration that we have going into this next fire season. So be safe out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor.